Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, whatever time you may see this video. I am Michaelia Thomas, and this is Perfectly Imperfect Perspective. I'm coming today. I wanted to open up with lessons that I had already, studied, prayed about, ready to go. But as I was getting prepared to do this today, I heard Lord via the Holy Spirit, like, no, don't take any of your study materials. Just come and speak. So this is about vulnerability today, I guess. So to give you a little backstory of me, I am the youngest of two daughters. I knew I was different, and the first time I audibly heard what I would later find to be the voice of the Lord was about 5 years old. Um, I've always been different, a little strange, uh, very talkative, high energy, um, goofy, withdrawn. Um, Trying to understand myself. It took to this age to even understand. I'm just getting understanding, in a lot of things. So I answered my call early on, about 9 years old, and I started getting trained for ministry at 9, learning the word, learning how to pray, the importance of worship. Like my background as far as worship is concerned is not like, well, today's church or even the church back then. Worship is not praise. Praise is more, you would see the people shouting and doing all of that stuff. But that was always weird because as soon as the drums stopped, so did they. So I don't know if we were praising or having a party to Jesus music. Make it make sense. I don't know. So, but worship has everything to do with God and who He is. Just His being, His substance, just His love, His grace, His mercy, His omnipotence, He's sovereign. I mean, and to tap into that spiritually, to be able to escape from yourself and tap into that is something that if you don't know about it, you really, really, really should really tap into your relationship with God to get in that place. It's just a place of gratitude and thankfulness. But in there, no, like, away from that, I'm speaking spiritual now. It's just rest, it's peace. It's not about your problems disappearing or going away. You just know whatever way that it works out, it doesn't matter because you are in His care. And in His hands, it's the safest place to be. To be loved for no reason. To be loved unconditionally, relentlessly, purely, beautifully, flaws and all. And it's not praise. It's not about God paying your bills. It's not about any of those things. That's significant. But this right here, worship, brings in an intimacy that I try to encourage people to get. I've had people, this world we live in is in so much competition about everything. It's such a sad state of affairs, but in worship, it's just, I can't explain it to you. I've seen people who talk about going on like these spiritual retreats, and I'm not talking about like godly, but just tapping into whatever they're tapping in. I'm not going to address that today. I'm talking about worship. But having this, like how they say, a euphoric, this type of experience, right? But in this, what I'm talking about, how they say they feel a calm, a sense of this or that or the other. Well, that's what worship in its totality brings. It's purification, it's safety, it's holy. It's an honor to be able to experience and have that, and that's something that's developed in a relationship. Much like, we always hear about, what it doesn't take time to do. It doesn't take all of that. Well, in life, through humans who may not have known, and a lot more have been more intentional than we would like to accept and believe. I didn't get messed up or insecure, angry, anxious, depressed, confused, promiscuous, violent, unpredictable, inconsistent, cruel, vindictive, vengeful, hateful, of myself more than anybody with that hate. You don't know it at the time until you start getting healing. But I didn't get those ways overnight. It took time for, the adversary, the enemy, which we know as, Luciferian, Satan, Beelzebub, pick a name, evil adversary. That's it. It took time from childhood, to become all of those things that I just named, and get them cultivated. And it started in the space of my youth, which is what the enemy does. And a lot of people don't seem to be aware that your foundation is your childhood. It is your childhood. It is how you were raised. It is what you see. It's the examples that are set before you, whether it's a two-parent household or one parent, or you get raised up by neither parent. Or, some people are very much abused sexually, physically, verbally, emotionally, even spiritually, because I have, been blessed to be around many different people in this life. And a lot of people have used Christ to seduce and sleep with women with low self-esteem, or have women, single mothers, thinking they're giving their children over to these men of God in the program and gonna help them because the father is not there for whatever reason, and the mother's heart was in the right place, and boys were molested, completely confused now, struggling with addictions, failed marriages, being abusive, highly promiscuous because they're confused about their own sexuality because they were violated at a young age by men, and then tying in the word, and it's just so many things that it will take time to be able to cover. But the platform God has given me, this is a complete this is a by faith movement. This is obedience. I had a plan for my life, and this was not it. I wanted to get far away from Ohio, far away from my family. This wasn't my plan. I wanted to always be in business for myself. A lot of my life was hard, and I used to pray and fast and come against all these different things, talking about the enemy and the devil, and the whole time, the biggest problem, my biggest adversary was me. See, what people don't understand is the enemy don't walk with you everywhere and every day. He plants seeds that take root, and then in your teenage years, what we call the rebellion, whatever you pour into your child in their from infancy up until school age, meaning like, I want to give it about 9-10 years old. You start seeing the fruit of whatever you have planted in them. So if you have a child that, you make excuses for their behavior constantly instead of exercising discipline, and discipline doesn't always mean spanking. People say it's corporal punishment. I think that's kind of, I don't know about corporal. I know about if I keep telling you something and you're destructive and you're destroying things, and depending on whatever is going on, I will spank my children. I will spank a child today. I'm not in opposition to it. I just think it needs to be in moderation, just like everything else. There's a difference between discipline and abuse. So back to what I'm saying is, it takes time. So about 9 or 10 years old, it's cultivated. Or you hear people say, like, my child around 9, 10 years old, it's between there that like a real form of who they are becoming starts to show, you know. I would say that rebellion really that you may see, it may come at 10. It's getting earlier now, but I always notice that like around that 12, 13 mark, we got hormones going, different things that we call it puberty. Those things started changing, and you start seeing this identity, and it's like they become someone else different overnight. Why are a lot of our youth so angry? Why were you angry or sad? Why was I so angry? Well, it goes back to childhood. Well, for me, a lot of times I spent a lot of time alone, and the most attention that I got was in the form of what I was doing wrong. There was no affirmation, encouragement. In my home, and growing up like in the 80s, like being a child, like showing anything that was like what people consider different, when it really is just being an individual. I mean, it was even to the point growing up amongst peers where if you like different type of music, you would be called like, well, what you think, you white? Like we were sectioned off to only listen to black artists, and if it wasn't rap, R&B, or blues, and I guess jazz would be acceptable, and oh yeah, some gospel, but don't say that you like a rock band or different things. You see, all of these things cultivate and shape us, and as you come into you, then you have this desire to fit or to belong, because we all want acceptance, because we were created to be here, to be amongst each other, and you know, be fruitful and multiply in this earth, and care and love for one another, and have this experience that we are so far removed from. I mean, it's not even distant, it's invisible, what God's intended purpose was for us to have an existence in this realm of humanity. So what is my point? Did I veer off? I absolutely didn't. I'm giving you understanding of how the enemy works. So if you have a child that wakes up one day angry, you have to understand the part that was played. And I don't even want to blame all parents, because some parents raise you as a product of how they were raised. I have a baby boomer generation of parents. They don't have emotions. They go to work. We don't talk about anything. You don't feel safe to communicate. If you say something is wrong or you don't like something, you gonna get beat. You gonna get your butt whooped. And I want you to know that, if there were badges for getting beat down, baby, I think I got a whooping almost every day. About 5 and up, almost a few times a day, for asking questions, wanting to know something, or tearing something up. So you have to understand these things, and psychologically speaking, it's not good to leave children to themselves. You don't know what's on their mind. So it's always funny to me when you hear people say, "My child would never do that." I know them. Do you? Do you? What time do you spend with your child? I mean, to actually get to know them, to know how their mind works, because our foundation of living as human adults is in our childhood. What do you teach them? What do you tell them? And the most important thing, that the most erroneous thing that happened in my generation was do as I say, not as I do. But that is not how it works. Even in the word, we supposed to be an example to show people how to walk this walk and walk of faith. That applies anything that God has installed and put in place for us. It doesn't just apply to relationship with Him. It applies to life and your existence in totality. And that's what people are not understanding. And we're being told, talk this way and walk this way and act like this. Because the last time I checked, a nice suit and a big hat that's fashioned only to be worn in church is not going to get you to heaven. It's not going to give you peace of mind. It's not going to bring healing. It's just a nice outfit that you can only wear to church. So, we have to understand those things, and that's what this channel is for. But today, I'm just choosing to open up and just be vulnerable. Why did I pick perfectly imperfect? Because all my life, I felt I had to weigh myself against other people, or just always looking. It was this insecurity created in me young. Your words as parents, you hold weight. So telling your children they dumb, or you stupid, or even strange or weird, and you don't a child doesn't understand that, and you don't break that down to them, and then they don't feel safe to talk to you, because all they'll ever get is hollered at, cussed at, or told about what they're not doing. I didn't grow up in a house with hugs and love and warmth. That's not what we did. I don't even really remember. Like, we take these things for granted. It is simple things that mean the most, like sitting at a dinner table with everybody and asking how was your day, and allowing people. That is the first fellowship is in your house. So even young, I never could conform. I didn't understand what was wrong with me. I just thought, I guess I was a problem child. Something was wrong with me. I never did anything correctly. That was the understanding. And it was to the point I didn't know we didn't know how to put a name to anxiety back then. I dealt with a lot of that. You keep getting, what they call as discipline. And I want to be mindful and careful with how I word the things that I say concerning my mother, because she did what she was taught to do. She left me alone because when she grew up, she was left alone. And if you don't say anything, people assume that you're okay. She learned how to be silent. I learned how to rebel. So you can't, you get two different, people say, well, this happened to me and that happened to me and I was okay. Look at me. Yeah, look at you. We live in a world that where the most simple things should be not taken for granted, and have gratitude. Like having people that genuinely, authentically have your best interests at heart, love you, want to see you thrive and win. People that would really tell you the truth. Hard truths, any truth, but coming from a place of love, because they don't want to see you hurt yourself or stagnate yourself or anything that's in your best interest. But that's not the world we live in. We live in a world of images where you dress it up, you look away, and you want to be admired and look at as like, oh, this is success. What is success? I mean, financially? Because in my community, the Black community, that's what I can speak to. We learn how to dress up our pain, make everything look good, and have lots of debt and bad credit, don't know how to budget. You have people in debt just to take vacations and take pictures. And this all still comes from that foundation of feeling inadequate or not enough, or being abandoned, having one parent, no parents. You got both parents in the house and be ignored. And that's still damaging. We have people who saying, well, I've been through this and I've been through, we compete about pain. We're in a constant competition. Well, my pain was like this. My pain was like this, but look what I did. After this, I succeeded this way. So now we are in a perpetual state, moving from that childhood to the teenage years, Because now you just want to fit, you want to be accepted, you get an idea of what kind of group you want to be in. It doesn't matter if that's truly who you are, it's just about being accepted. Who cares if anybody knows your true, authentic self? As long as you fit in, you accepted, maybe popular, or maybe find your group. I don't know. But even within that group, in the confines of it, if you are not being your true, authentic self, you're still in bondage. Bondage to what you think you have to be because you weren't affirmed, confirmed, and poured into in your home. Some children can have every monetary thing thrown at them, and then another person who didn't have any of that and neglect and different types of abuse will be like, well, you had this. No, they had clothes, they had toys, they had the latest this, they had the latest that. But what did it do? It just fostered greed, entitlement, and look, a lot of them still ended up in the street. With me coming up, a lot of people who ended up like selling drugs or doing different things, some came from, having no parents or parents on drugs. Other kids that I grew up with came from two-parent households and their parents gave them everything. So you see all these material things and painting an image have nothing to do. It's all right to have a beautiful house, a manicured lawn. But what good is that if within that house you have objects and things and an aesthetic, but it's cold? And that's what we are. We like houses. You can make it up, you can dress it up, you can make it look great. But inside it's empty, it's hollow, it's no depth. It's full of what? What we put on all these band-aids and different things to cover up who we really are. And that's what Perfectly Imperfect comes into place. It took me 40 years to love myself. It took me 40 years to understand that I can be unapologetically me. I've always been me anyway, and I gave off a confidence. But you know how many people around me today, my age, younger or older, we just did what we had to do, and it was just a survival mode. And people think they know what low self-esteem really looks like. Low self-esteem doesn't have anything to do with how you keep your hair combed or makeup or the latest clothes. Because you can grow up in a household where that's just the norm. That's not, you can see somebody's low self-esteem like the people they choose in relationships. But again, we base everything on aesthetics. It's so superficial, very, very shallow and hollow. So we have all these images. It's putting us to go after this, go after that, have all of this. I know people with lots of money. I know people with a grandiose appearance of money. I know people who are doing fine and, they're here. I know people who have nothing at all. I can't tell you who the happiest people are because I've seen pure happiness, pure misery in all of those elements or stages of life. And some people, as hard as it may be to believe, all people don't attain to have all of these riches. Some people are at perfect peace with a simple life. I watch people just chase money. You have a conversation with them, it's so sad. Like, it's no substance. It's all material things. All material. And I've also seen them have some of the worst anxiety. They don't have no real peace. Anybody who cannot ever sit still and take a breath, it is something missing. If you see a person constantly, they're like shopping or spending money, or you see somebody who will be eating constantly or different things of that nature, anything that you do in an absorbent, it is something inside that is missing. And it's a void that money, clothes, vacations, admiration, pictures, aesthetics cannot fill. And that is what God is. And in those things, once you attain a true relationship and He fill all those voids, because you need them anyway, even if you have a healthy home life growing up, it's still nothing like the presence of God, something beyond yourself, a pure and total love, and a freedom to express, because his movement is about control. It's about loving one another, being mindful of one another, taking care of each other. We have a real adversary who chose otherwise, and he gave us free will. If he is the creator and can control everything, why would he give us free will? Because just like we made those images and all of those things we wanted to present throughout our lives, you know what I'm saying? We wanted to be accepted and we wanted to be loved. And a lot of us have chose to do it by pretending to be something else. And sometimes we pretend so good, we deceive ourselves because we wanted to be loved and accepted. And that is, in essence, what God is. But the difference is, he's not going to lie to you about it. People have failed you. God didn't. You have failed to read the word or to seek out your own soul salvation, to work it out with fear and trembling. You have failed to study to show yourself approved and research those things. You have failed to concentrate on a true relationship that is not just what I can receive. You failed in that area. You did. We have to take accountability. So the same way you want to be chosen by a certain group of people, or you want to be revered and looked upon, is the same thing that God is saying. I don't want you to choose me because I made you. I want to be loved because you love me. And isn't that what we all want? Isn't that what we all desire? At the end of it, even if we don't say it, that's really what it is. This world is not deficient of anything more than it is of love, and understanding what that truly, really means, encompasses, and embodies. That's what it's really about. That's actually my greatest attribute, is love. In longing for it, I found that I felt hostage to not being able to give freely what I'm greatest at, which is love. And it just got covered with all these other ugly things that we use to try to protect ourselves. Because we were never taught to embrace who we are, whatever that may be, and however it may be. It's no rules, and it's not up to another human to tell you who and how you should be, as long as it's not causing harm to yourself or to others, you know. So I have done this, welcoming you into what it is going to be, hopefully transformative for not only you, but for me as well, because it's truly just obedience and it's grace. And I thank God that I'm here and that I'm alive. And I do have quite a story to tell, but it's rooted and grounded in love. A love that I didn't start even being able to comprehend, receive, or believe until my 40s. Y'all be blessed, encouraged. I thank God for being a misfit, because I'm just the right fit for Jesus, and so are you. You be blessed in everything you do. And until we meet again, and we will be going through a series of things, because this is not just about who I am. I'm just opening up so you can understand where I'm coming from, what my motivation is, why am I qualified to do this? Because God qualified me, and he let me know that from a child. And everything that he's brought me through, whether it was self-inflicted, trials of life, or other hurting people. And now in this season, we need to normalize taking accountability. And we don't know, it's the hurt people is no longer acceptable. It's hurt people deciding to actively work on healing. That is your responsibility. It is not anybody else's responsibility. That is yours. What happened, whatever you've endured to this point in your life, no, it wasn't fair. It wasn't. But we all get dealt a hand, and we don't know how it's going to go. But it is your responsibility to heal from the things that you didn't inflict. And you got to remember, how many people have you hurt? intentionally or unintentionally. We all have flaws. We all have greatness. We all have gifts. And that's the beauty of the human experience. And the greatest part is having a God that can navigate and take us through all of those things. So I press towards the mark to the prize of, towards the prize of the high calling, which is in Christ Jesus. And I'm sending love, encouragement, and blessings until we meet again. Perfectly imperfect. Take care.